I wanted to go over your main practice assignment inside. It's just repetitions of all the cues that she knows so that you guys can make sure she understands them with you, and you can practice your leash skills, you can practice your timing, you can practice your marker words. So we want to be prepared. I've got a bed, I've got her leashed up. I'm gonna let her drag the leash unless she is distracted or she's confused or she gets up and she needs some extra help, and then I'll be using it. But mostly I want to let her do it on her own if she's able to. But I want to have it as an option, as a tool to use if I need it. If somebody comes and knocks on the door or she just gets stuck. Also got treats handy. I got my treat pouch. You can have treats in your pocket. You can have treats over on the table. Treat pouch, treat bag or something like that that you can go take from. So all we're going to be doing is lots of repetitions of what she knows. I want to keep it simple. It's really better to have a couple of really strong commands than a bunch of random ones that maybe aren't so consistent. So we're just going to be working on her sits, on her downs, on her place. So again, if we're going to release her, we have two ways to do it. We can either release her just with break, which is our you're free to do what you want, or you're just up, but I'm going to ask you to do something else. It's not very interesting, it's not very exciting. If we're trying to calm her down a little bit, we want to bring down the stress or the excitement level, this is a good cue to use to release her. If something's really easy for her as well, we don't need to be using a bunch of treats. We can be using break more to get her up. What are you doing? Break. Break. Good girl. So again, I'm just going to turn right back around, and then I'm going to ask her again. Barbie, place. Good. Good. So a couple things to notice there. I try to say place before I'm already right on top of her bed or she's already on top of her bed. I'm kind of guiding her over here. I'm saying place on this bed. So I'll make a hand signal to show her which bed that I want, but I want to be pretty quick with my hand signal. So it's going to be place, point, and then back again. If she gets stuck someplace, I'll move with her. I'll give her some extra help. Again, I can use the leash, or I can pat my side and kind of guide her over and try to get her to follow me until she's on it. Then when she's on it, I can let her know she's on the right track by telling her good, letting her know that's correct. I don't have to reward her, but I want to acknowledge that she's making the right choice. She needs to continue on that path. Then you saw too, she'll sit for a second. I'm not going to immediately tell her to down or tell her to place again. I'm going to give her a second to settle into her spot. Now, like we said, break is the one word we can use. The other word that we can use if we want some more enthusiasm, which can be helpful if she's in a really distracting situation, she's really struggling, she's just really worked up for some reason, and we're having a hard time with our stays or just having a hard time getting her to do it in the first place. We can do a lot of quick reps with this word to get her a little bit more in tune with us and listening a little bit better before we move on to doing more slow, boring stuff and expecting longer stays. And so this word is yes. And this one means that she's going to get a treat from our hand. So this one should be pretty exciting. And part of what's really important, or the main thing that's really important with that word, is that we need to always reward, right? Because the reason it has value is because the dog understands that every time we say that, they're going to get a treat. I'll even make it exciting by moving a little bit, having them follow my hand, kind of chase my hand, to add a little bit more enthusiasm to my yeses when I use them. We've got a really interesting bed over here for some reason, so this might be a good chance to practice with some distractions. Barbie, come. Good girl. Good. Now, I don't have a ton of space in here to do recalls, but even when I'm doing recalls in a short space, I want you to notice a couple of things. So I want to make it very obvious to her that I want her to move into me. So when I call her, I'm going to move backward, and as soon as she turns and looks at me, I'm going to praise her and we're going to reward that. Good. So I don't even mind giving a couple treats while I'm still moving to really build that enthusiasm with the recall and really build her moving into me. And then as soon as I stop, I want her to sit in front of me. I'm not going to ask for a sit because I don't need her to stay. I just want her stationary in front of me for as long as I'm stationary. And then if I move again, I'm okay with her following me and coming back into a sit. Okay? Good. So it's not a sit stay where I expect her to plant herself down no matter where I go to. It's a recall. I want her following me anytime that I move, and then sitting herself down in front of me anytime that I stop. Good. So if she doesn't sit, I'll lure her with my hands. I'll make a motion like this and get her into a sit. This is a good thing to practice too, to help with the jumping. So we can do a lot of quick repetitions of come and sit and build her really excited, kind of running to us, and then planting her butt right down in front of us. Good. Same as with our other exercises, we'll want to make sure we release her from our recall too, because I do want her following me around for a little while so that if I need to grab her collar or something like that, I have that option. So I want to let her know when the recall started and when it's finished. With the recall, I don't usually do break. I want a lot of enthusiasm, so I'll almost always finish my recalls with yes, and then she's done. So again, I don't know if I'll get much out of her with this. Are you gonna follow me around now? Sit. Good. Now see, when I ask for a sit, I want that stay. So that's different from a recall sit, because when I recall her and she sits in front of me, when I move, she moves with me. When I ask her to sit, I want her to stay there no matter where I go to. Good. But now if I call her, she can come to me. Barbs, come. Good. Yes. Right. So I'm going to move to really encourage her to follow me, get that sit, and then ask for, or release her with a yes. Good girl. Now she's getting kind of excited, so I have a couple options here. She starts jumping on me, I'm going to tell her no. I'm going to ask her to sit, and I can encourage that behavior when she's excited, or I can work on getting her a little bit calmer. So right now she's really enthusiastic about working with me, she's really focused on me. If there's some other distraction nearby, I want that. I want to continue to encourage that enthusiasm. But if we're just inside hanging out, I don't need that necessarily. So if we're just inside hanging out or she's getting too much for me, I can go back to being a little bit more boring. And again, we can do some more place patterning with lots of breaks. Bird, please. Thank you. All the way. Good girl. I might pat her on the head, but I'm not going to do a bunch of treats or exciting stuff. Break. You see, sometimes our breaks aren't very strong because there's not a lot of value in them. You might even find that this is really valuable, or it's easier to do holding the leash. I don't want you to get stuck on that, but sometimes it can be useful to do your repetitions of place on leash to help build that calmness and help with that release. Place. Thank you. Break. Place. No. Break. Place. Nope. You can see doing a lot of fun, exciting stuff like those recalls. Got her a little worked up. So now that we're going back to doing boring calm stuff, she's kind of annoyed. She doesn't really want to be calm napping right now. Good girl. Good choice. Break. Place. When we're doing place for calmness, I do want to do it until she goes and she settles and she puts her head down. And that might mean that I have to leave her here for a few minutes and ignore her and let her settle on her own. But if she keeps popping up, you can do a couple repetitions until she's settled a little bit and then leave her there for a few minutes. Or break. Place. And the last thing that we can practice is our downs, and so these are off of the bed. These can be a little bit more exciting. I don't want her popping up a bunch or being really antsy in it, but I don't mind doing a little bit more rewards with these because we're going to use downs more often outside and more distracting areas. Bird. Good Good girl. Bring. Down. Good. Now, she downs really well inside, but when she's in a new situation, it can be kind of difficult for her to focus enough to down, or if she's not really sure about the area she's in, she sometimes doesn't want to down right away. And so we can help her with that in two ways. We can use the leash to down her, or we can give a hand signal. And so I'll do either depending on the situation. If she pops up, I'm going to prioritize the leash and say, hey, no, you've got to stay down. And kind of use it as a correction. Nope. Like that. Just do a little quick pop or pressure if she's stuck, to encourage her to stay in the down. Yes. But if she's confused, I don't necessarily have to use the leash. I can also do a hand signal. So burp, I can do down and then a motion, right? And she's doing it well inside, but outside sometimes she gets kind of stuck. She'll sit, and then we do our motion for down. We want it to be quick, right? Down and then back up. Because if we stay down, she's going to want to get attention. She's going to come to our face and our hands and be asking for stuff from us or think we're trying to pet her. So you want to make it a quick motion. If she gets stuck or she's still confused, we can try again. If she's still stuck, she's still confused, then I might use the leash and help her that way. Break. Good girl. It can be a good idea to practice the leash sometimes inside too, even when you don't need it. Just that you're comfortable handling it and that you have good practice with her using it and practicing that pressure. And so we can do sit and pressure up, down and pressure down, place and pressure to her bud, and then to a down. And we can even do come and pressure. Good girl. Good. I don't want you to be prioritizing that, for having that be what you do always, because I want her listening to your verbals, because she does verbals really well. But when you need to use the leash for certain situations, again, like when she's distracted or outside, or she's barking at somebody, it's good to have practice with it in situations that aren't stressful, you know? So she knows it, she understands it, and she understands it not as a, I'm always getting in trouble when this happens, but a, this is just another cue that can be used. All right, pressure up, for sit, then pressure down, for down. Good girl, break, come on, pressure, under her bed. Good girl.